Welcome to your October 28th Monday Power Hour meeting. I think it might be not even a full hour today. We'll see how long our throats last. COVID is back officially, so it's back for us. I don't know. I feel like everybody's getting sick. No?
I heard today Ontario's giving free flu shots. You don't even have to show your health card. You just have to show up at some pharmacy and they'll give you the shots
just
right
grab
away.
It.
So.
Seems legit.
I don't think it's a COVID shot. I think it's just a flu shot.
The regular flu, like whatever strain
you
they
don't have to
determine
show your
this year.
health card? It's a bit
Just
strange.
get the job.
As of today, do the flu shot for sure. I'm not sure about the COVID one. But.
I tried to look up the COVID rates. That's right.
I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, we've got a little buffet of cold-friendly stuff here. So Katelyn's got to save her voice for Wednesdays because hers actually get recorded professionally. So we've got to be careful today.
Yep.
So we've got a couple people here in person and a few more online, which is good. We've got about 20 people online, and I think this time we'll have a lot on YouTube afterwards, so that's all right. But for the people that are here, how was the last week? Anyone do open houses, or anyone have any tales from the big interest rate cut? Anything happened last week? And online you can join in as well. A little bit more, Chad? Yeah, like questions or showings or... Okay, good. Yeah. What's the feeling? Like people are excited or like good news or?
Yeah, they're excited. They're just asking what the best timing is.
Yeah.
Start looking now. And if you want to know, so not after you start closing until after this is happening.
That's right. Yeah, the best timing is right now, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. For me, it was sort of quiet. I don't know, Nelson, for you. Like I'm getting questions and stuff, but still, not a lot of like a real action, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Katelyn's only had 2 to 3 groups on Sunday.
That was open house, and I think that was in Whitby. She did it. It was a new listing as well, so that's interesting.
5 people.
Oh yeah, so Brianna did an interesting thing. We were curious to test it. She's got a listing. It's been on the market since the summertime, and in her area, it's a new build. So she's got a lot of neighbors that are more curious, and they're not serious buyers. So we did a test to not advertise it on MLS, only to the public on realtor.ca to see that if she would get, or maybe it was the other way around.
To agents?
She did it on MLS, not on realtor.ca. Sorry, so she let agents know she was having open house. She didn't want any nosy neighbors. She wanted people that were serious that actually saw the open house organically through an agent, and she did say she had still about 10 groups come through.
Wait, so it's only on...
Only on MLS for agents to see, not on public-facing realtor.ca. So kind of the reverse is what we tell people. No, exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
So all agents would have known to send their clients, or really serious people would have seen it, but she didn't want the general overall public that was casually browsing. And I said, do it as a test. I have no idea if anybody will show up if you don't have that advertising, but she did have people through, and the people that came through were serious. So that was just for her particular clients, something that we recommend all the time, but her clients didn't want neighbors. They really wanted serious people. So we thought we would try it.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad, eh? So the seller didn't want her to...
No, seller is related, and yes, we know that there's a purpose for open houses for the agents to get their own clients as well, but for this particular situation, it's close to home. She's related to the family. It's been on the market for a while. They wanted serious people only. Kate Jones saying all of Whitby felt pretty empty. So I wonder where people are. Are they like traveling, or where are they? Everyone's at Raj, Paul, and Christine's wedding this weekend. I don't know if it's that many people, but there's a new message we're getting, right?
So there's a large amount of people.
We'll check our waiting room. I don't think the waiting room's even on, so no? Okay. Cool. All right, Claire, why don't you get started then?
So we had a nice weekend there with Raj, Paul, and Christine. So they got married on Friday, had their event on Saturday, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's a nice wedding.
Nice event there. I'm trying to think how many couples have we have met at the office there. It's got to be... it's more
We
than
said
half
we were going to have a wall.
more than half a dozen there.
Well, you have more history than we do. I only know of 2 now, so.
Yeah, so...
Stats are pretty good.
Favorite,
Who's my favorite? Oh, that's right. I forgot about you two as well. That's right. Yeah.
Clearly we're the
wasn't even
favorite.
counting you two.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. No, so you're part of the family, man.
No, that was a nice time. It was nice for everybody to get together. So it's fun.
So the interest rates went down 0.5 point on Wednesday. So I think everybody anticipated that, right? A lot of people guessed that was going to happen.
The media was going crazy, though, trying to predict 75 points. They got all crazy a couple hours before and started spreading more stuff. But
So what's happening here is the pattern I see right now is that people aren't happy with even a half a point. Like there's like even last week when we got the half a point announcement, agents were coming to me saying, "Well, there's going to be another one in December." I mean, like it's like Christmas Day. Like you open Christmas Day and say, "Well, when's next Christmas?" I mean,
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about what they talked about at Varan's event?
Yeah. So
versus that?
Yeah. So I'm just curious about. I don't know. I have a feeling that this half a point didn't do anything.
No.
But I've got some numbers here that do. Do you guys feel the same thing? You guys feel that the half a point did it change anything? I'm looking at the people that are here in the office right now.
A lot of realtors posted some positive stuff on their social, being excited about it. I think agents might be the ones that are the most excited
The
for
feeling
it.
that I get is that it just got too high too fast, and the compound of the past 2 years of having interest being so high and everything being so expensive that the couple points every few months we get is not enough to make a significant difference. I think it's going to take time to settle in, and there's other things that need to help.
I've got some articles here too that people are saying that now the rates are going down too fast.
Yeah.
Before they were saying that the rates went up too fast. Now they're saying they're going down too fast. So make up your mind, right?
Yes. Sherry last week was saying that their goal is to bring it, or it's predicted to go down to 2.5% by the middle of next year to trigger a strong spring selling season. But they're not predicting it to go lower than 2.5%. But she thinks that they're going to do small drops until they hit 2.5 next spring. Right now it's 3.75.
Just as a rule of thumb, you guys understand like the Bank of Canada rate they're talking about right now went from what is it today?
3.75.
3.75. It came down from 4.25. But do you guys know how that relates to mortgages? Like, have you ever sort of how's that rate late? Because right now the prime rate is 5.95. So just as a rule of thumb, just when you hear these numbers here, 4.75, 5.5, just add 2.2. It used to be 1.5%, but add 2.2% to it, and that's going to be your prime rate. And so anybody that's on variable rate mortgages, you get prime rate minus 1 or something like that. So it's not the post rate. It's not the 3.75. It's not 3.75. It's 5.95.
Yeah.
Is the prime rate, and you're getting 1% off that. 1% off that, so you're getting like 4.95. Just a rule of thumb, just to sort of put things in perspective.
The other rule of thumb they're saying is variable rate, so it's about $15 per $100,000.
Yeah.
So is that a big thing then? So $15, so it went down half a point. So that's going to be $30 per 100,000. So if you had a $1 million mortgage, you're going to save $300 a month. Does that make any difference?
Yeah.
It should. I just think the past 2 years they're so far in. Like they need more than that to really help.
Anything helps at this point.
Of course,
good,
and that
but
was just a half a point, but they dropped three quarters of a point before that. So so there's quite a bit of difference there.
Yeah.
So Katelyn, you can finish. You did that
they were just saying,
his event.
Yeah, she was just saying, they're predicted to be at 2.5% by the middle of next year to trigger a strong spring selling season. And she was predicting that the rebound will begin in the first quarter of next year. And she made a comment to fasten our seatbelts after Christmas. The real interest rates are still too high. We may see lower than 2.5, but they're not sure. But prior to the pandemic, it was 1.75, but she doesn't think it's going to go that low. Inflation was below 2% at that time. And then they were saying there's one more decision that's going to be made in December. But
So everyone's speculating, like, hold your seats, wait till quarter one. I'm a little apprehensive from all that hype, from hyping up quarter one, because what if the hype doesn't happen and we're all disappointed and deflated again? So I just think plan for like a balanced market where people are buying and selling, and maybe not so much of a hyped crazy thing. And we don't necessarily want that, right?
Well, a lot of renewals, she was saying, was coming up as well, and those people were on lower rates then. So when they do the renewals, it's going to shock even more people.
Exactly. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. It's interesting for sure. Anything is going to be better than what we've been doing the past year, though. So.
Yeah.
What else anything else from Brands?
No, that was my big thing. Varan's event was awesome. He had a lot of good speakers. That was the economist that came in. We had Arshad that came in to talk a little bit about Alberta and how they do rentals there. A lot of people clapped. Did you know in Alberta that if your tenant doesn't pay rent, you can kick them out in 14 days? So that was everyone started clapping at that moment. That was really cool to see. But no, you had appraisals there. We had single key came. So it was a really good informative session. A lot of good people to add to your team of experts as well. Some wealth planners. So I think you're going to be hosting another event coming maybe next year.
Probably in spring.
in the spring. Yeah,
Good.
it was a really good event.
How many people did you have there, Vern?
From 150 to 160.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So lots to learn.
You got good feedback and
Yeah.
nice.
Somebody, they can really kick out the tenants in 14 days.
14
Yeah, 14 days automatic. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, non-payment of rent, done.
Yeah. So he was talking about investing over there. It's a little bit cheaper over there. Rentals are still pretty good, but then they were talking about the unemployment rate is the highest also in Alberta. So filling those spaces might be a little trickier too. So there's some pros and cons to it all.
I think they're mandated to have property managers too.
Yes.
Yes,
You
they have to have property
Different,
managers.
Like market.
Yeah, out in the west there, agents aren't allowed to do leases.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be a
It's
property.
through the property.
Yeah, you have to be a property manager to be able to do it. so.
Yeah, same thing in BC as
Yeah,
well.
you're not allowed. You wouldn't be qualified. You wouldn't be able to do that. I wish
Yeah.
they'd do that here.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish they would too.
Managers only can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our
So it's
friend
common.
Arshad out there, he owns a Century 21, but he also owns a property management company. So they'll do leases and manage the properties for the tenants out there. So they get to see quite a bit.
Now, we're not in the statutes yet, but we're still on the topic here of Rand's presentation there. But Single Key, I'm told, has some pretty good presentation. Single Key, for those who don't know, if you've got a tenant, you're renting a property, Single Key will do the credit check, they'll do the, I guess, a court check,
Yeah.
and they'll also pre-qualify your tenant for you if you want, all for like pretty cheap too. It's like
Yeah,
it's less
it's
than
$30.
$50, right? And I don't know what this one here, but they have an insurance policy as well that if you go through them, you have to pay. I'm sure you have to pay a fee for it, but they'll actually guarantee the rent.
Yep.
Up to a certain amount. I don't know if it's 60,000. 5% of the lease.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% but I think it's 5%.
Yeah. So their newest thing is they're going to be rent collection. So they're actually going to collect the rent for the landlord from the tenant, I guess, soon. I think that was what one of their
So it
services
sounds like
that's coming.
sounds like turning themselves
And then
into
they'll
property
send you the
managers.
rest to the landlord. The only problem is I don't know if it's via check, so it can take 5 days for you to get your money, but they'll make sure that you're getting paid, even if they don't pay, if the tenant doesn't.
They're also going to allow that rent to go towards their credit report as
Yeah.
well through Single Key.
Yeah, so they got some good stuff.
So there's Single Key. I'm sure there's other people too, but Single Key, we'll just stick for that for a minute. So we have all kinds of ma and pa landlords that don't have any idea what they're doing. So maybe it's not a bad idea to get the ma and pa to maybe pay these guys a percentage of your rent just to make sure everything's okay. What I mean by that is many times, Nelson, you'll get a call. Person wants to sell their house, it's rented. They think all they have to do is put a sign on the property and sell it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of landlords, they don't understand all the complexities of the whole thing. They
They
just
don't even know
understand.
the laws or that they need an Ontario standard
Or you get other
lease.
tenants that say, I want a $500 damage deposit, right? And
Yep.
that's completely against the law as well. So but they don't understand. It's my house. What can I make my own rules? Well, not really. So it's not a bad idea to maybe consider that Single Key. I also have lawsuits going on right now where we're being sued because they're telling us that we never vetted the tenants. Right? Tenant goes in there and maybe, well, okay, I'll give you a real case, or will I?
Might, yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't say names.
I'll give the case, but then I'll also give the real case. So if somebody moves in and then they don't pay rent after their first and last month's rent, it's not that bad. But first and last month's rent comes in, that's all the rent you got. So now that the tenant doesn't pay the rent and the landlord's mad, of course they're mad at you because you're the one that brought the tenant,
Yep.
right? So I've got lawsuits like that. One lawsuit I have, it's a funny one, just by part here. We rented this place to this person. Person paid rent for 3 years. And after 3 years, didn't pay rent. Something happened in life, right? I get a call from a paralegal saying, you guys put a fraudulent professional tenant in our place, and we're going to sue you, which they did. We're actually in the middle of a lawsuit right now. So they're suing us for putting this fraudulent tenant in their place, although they paid rent for 3 years already.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's welcome to small claims court. So.
Yeah.
I was reading somewhere, I don't know if it was an article that popped up on my Instagram, but 50% of rental applications these days are coming in fraudulent.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
places like Single Key is
Yeah.
good to catch. They'll like actually look at the
Scrub it up.
PDFs and see if they've been
Altered.
fooled
There's-
around,
there's
or
any-
they'll take IDs
Okay,
and
there's-
scan them.
There's a buzzword now.
Yeah.
It's called AI. and be careful. Be careful. Should say careful. Everybody's saying it's AI, and all it really is it's an app.
Yeah.
But they call it AI, or it's a program. But anyways, Single Key apparently has an AI app that will look at an application and will scan the application and determine whether or not it's been altered or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it does that. But then Katelyn was just telling me that she's doing AI with her training course, and she'll give the Chat GPT, I assume. There's other ones out there, but she'll give them a PDF. Figure out the math here. She'll give a PDF of a document, not the words, not a Word document, not Excel, a PDF, which you know is like a photograph of a document. But somehow AI can read that PDF and read the words and tell you what it says and be able to edit it.
Yeah, I think I uploaded some old workbook saying make this into a presentation, and it took a PDF file and made an entire like PowerPoint presentation out of it. So you can do. And I'm watching these finance guys lately on YouTube, and there was a realtor, and you can actually upload your bank statements in PDF to ChatGPT and say like, I don't know, give me a financial summary or budget or overview, and it told them like where they're spending too much money, where they should be saving, and like it does so much. Just ChatGPT though.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to her a little bit more now. We're on AI right now.
Yeah.
I'll keep going, right? So I have people come to me, I'm sure you do too, that I want, well, even Chris will say it, or Floyd or Mike Ferry will say that you need to have a role play partner. Has anybody done that? Role play partners? You know what they talk about, eh? Like Chris Leader, Mike Ferry, they always tell you need to have a role play partner. And everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So the role play partner, you would say you'd be the listing agent, and they'd be the seller, and you'd role play a listing presentation. But sometimes people are embarrassed, so they don't get it hooked up, or it's hard to get two people together. So I thought I'll play around. I went to ChatGPT, which is, I don't know. Again, there's other programs out there, and I said, okay, I'm a listing agent, and I'm doing a presentation to a seller, and my competition is offering 1% commission. What do I do?
Or what do I say?
What do I say? Then the whole thing came in and said, like, you're going to say this. I said, you be the real estate agent, and I'll be the customer. I'm the customer. You be the listing agent. So it gave me a whole presentation, and I said, well, so and so said it'd only do it for 1%, and it answered back, well, it can do it 1%. It can do this. I'll read it here. I've got it here as well. But it's amazing how this tool will work, and you can really take advantage of it. So rather than relying on somebody else to do role play, like you both have to get together, and maybe you talk and maybe you chat, and you say, well, you don't really actually talk about it, you get off topic, whatever else. But this is right on topic. It's a good little thing. So if you're trying to overcome a discounter, then try the role play and see what it does for you. You can do for expired listings. You can do for sale by owners. You can do all different things on there. So information's out there. All the computer's doing is gathering information from other sites and giving it to you. So you can find it. It's there, but it does it in a different way. Curious.
Cool. It's cool. I might bring that up actually at my presentation on Wednesday.
I mean, talk about it, right? So let's just talk about the numbers. So I just said that the half a point came down on Wednesday, but the sales so far, we still got around 25,000 active listings. I thought we hit 35,000 a bit there, but no, I double checked. It's only 25,200.
Yeah.
It's been around the 25,000 now for about last 3 or 4 weeks, right?
Yep.
So it's been about the same. About 11,300 are condominiums, 14,000 are freeholds. Owner occupied. Of the 25,000 active listings, 48% are owner occupied. 56% of the freehold listings are owner occupied. So 56%. 37% of condominiums are owner occupied. So, and going down, you guys have all read newspapers talking about the condominium, particularly the small condominiums, how the investors are flooding the market with inventory. They're all trying to dump their properties. This is what I'm talking about, 38%. Let me just put that, twist it around in perspective. Properties that are tenanted or vacant, meaning that if there's properties for sale and it's tenanted, chances are the tenant gave their notice to leave, or it's vacant, right? Not too many people are going to be able to sell a place and have somebody assume the tenant. I don't know, does anybody do that? Has anybody seen an offer, Nelson? Have you ever seen an offer where somebody assumes the tenant? So I'm assuming that the tenant gave notice to leave, and the owner saying, I'm just going to sell and cash out. 63% of all the condominiums on the market right now are vacant or tenanted. That's a huge number. 48% overall, and on freeholds, 56% of the properties are vacant or tenanted. If I do the yeah, I did. So if you do condominium sales, did I do that? Maybe I didn't. Doesn't matter. It's getting too heavy now. Okay, that's fine. Properties that sold for over asking. 16% of properties sold for condominiums, 16% sold for over asking, 23% overall, 27% of freeholds went for over asking. So if you're trying to price a property to generate multiple offers, you're going to have about a 25% chance of it happening. So what's the strategy now? Nelson, is everybody pricing that to at property value or below value, or is it to, what's the majority?
More and more at property value.
Yeah. I think the recommendation now we're telling everybody, like, make it at market value, because if you're going to knock it down like $2,000 or $3,000 from price and hold off offers, I think you're going to get offers at that price that you listed it for. That's what I think happened. Unless you make it a really stupid price.
Yeah.
Sales themselves. Here's good news. Sales for condominiums are actually up 23% from last year.
Oof.
And sales overall are up 32%, and freeholds are up 37%. So the market's great, but
Or did we have a bad year?
Caveat, October last year was...
Isn't it like our lowest?
yeah, October last year was...
I guess we don't have October, but September.
4,600 sales. So October last year was probably one of the weaker months of the whole year. So I'm not surprised it's going to be up 30-40%. So because of that happening right there.
Sorry, 34%?
32.
32.
Sorry, 32% overall. Yeah. So that's good. On the lease side, there's 15,000 active leases. There's 8,000, almost 9,000 are condos. 7,000 are freeholds. The leases themselves are up 13%. For condos, up 9% overall, up 2% for freeholds. So the leases are okay, but I am reading though that the leases themselves are actually dropping the prices.
Yeah.
You guys seeing that too? Is anybody prices dropping for leases?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's coming out too, right?
Yeah.
And why would that be?
Too
They're
expensive.
saying that they're cutting the foreign students down.
Correct.
So without
Correct.
as many foreign,
That's
the
right.
whole Seneca campus got shut down completely because they didn't have enough students enrolled.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which campus it was. It wasn't the whole school. It was just one
Just
of the.
what smaller campus? Yeah.
It was a smaller campus. I don't think it was Newman, Kansas. I think it was somewhere else. I'm not sure. But
It was our polytechnic sector. Seneca, yeah.
so when Trudeau goes up there and says, "Hey, I'm going to cut back 100,000, 200,000 students from coming to Canada," and he just talks, you might think, well, what's this guy doing now? But now we're going to start to see the effects, because now you've got clients that are renting to tenants, student tenants, who are no longer there.
Yeah. Perfectly qualified students that have support with families with income that are no longer going to be renting.
So it's curious, eh? So that's a
That's the
double-edged sword.
demand.
I'm also reading. This sounds like bad news.
That was bad news.
That's okay.
Oh.
That's not going to cover our
I just
mortgages.
well, no. What I'm trying to, I guess the purpose of me talking about this stuff here is you've got a client sitting there that he's got a property to sell and it's not selling, and he wants to wait for the market to pick up so he can sell it at the price he wants. It's not going to happen,
No.
right? Not today's market, I don't believe.
No.
Even Sherry was saying, even when the rates do go down next year, she wasn't even predicting it was going to go into a full-blown seller's market. She was still predicting a buyer's market, because there's sellers still sitting on the waiting line right now too, so the inventory is just going to go up. But so I thought that was kind of interesting. So if they are waiting, it may not go the way we think.
I'm also reading that there's 27,000 new condominium units that will be completed this year and next year. So we've got how many? 11,000 condominiums in the market right now. Just wait till next year.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you this because we've got clients in there. You may have any condominiums that are not selling and sitting on the market not selling, and you got it. It's not going to get better. So if your client's waiting for it to get better, it's not going to get better. Just off topic again a little bit here. If you've got a buyer, so this is a bit of skills training.
Give your liver maximum protection and help it do vital jobs.
I was talking to a top agent last week, talking about the interest rates not doing anything, the market's not happening, and his script was, Mr. Buyer, you need to think about buying now. If you are correct in thinking that the rates are going to drop in December or next year, you're right. But as soon as they do that, that means there's going to be more buyers going to come to the market, more buyers going to qualify, so the property that you're looking for possibly could go up in price because now you're competing. So you're better off to buy it today because you know what the prices are. Get yourself a variable mortgage or an open mortgage. Don't get tied in. And then if rates do come down, then you can lock in at a different rate next year. So there's no reason to wait. You understand what So this is the script. If you got a client, this is I want to wait. This is the type of thing you need to talk about.
Wouldn't it be amazing though if they all listened to our advice? No. The market would be a lot different if they listened to us, but they're not. They're going to wait till Q1 next year with everybody else. So.
The thing is, you can't motivate a person to make a move
That's
either.
right. Cool. So this is just hot off the press as of 10 o'clock this morning. And keep in mind, all these new rules that we tell you about and tax implications, it's because we're in a political climate right now, right? So these are all things that are trying to get you to sway one side or the other. So we're just here to let you know sort of what's happening. But the Conservatives have pledged to remove GST from the purchase of new homes sold for under $1 million. That's today's news as of 10 o'clock today. So this is Conservative Party. They want to eliminate GST, new homes sold under $1 million if his party wins the next election. They say it will save Canadians $40,000 on an $800,000 house and will help spur the construction of an additional 30,000 homes in Canada every year. Last year, September, Liberal government also did something similar where they removed the GST on new rental housing projects. So this is for all new homes sold under $1 million. So we will see what happens with that. That's one of the many changes that we've seen happen lately. Should we summarize all the other stuff that's happened? This is from your presentation as well.
That was that one page that you were looking to do.
Yeah, so I'll make this as sort of a nicer one page for everybody, but just to summarize everything we've been talking about the past few weeks, all the recent changes in mortgage rules, so just as a summary. So 30-year amortization has expanded to all first-time home buyers and purchasers of new builds. They've increased the $1 million price cap for insured mortgages to $1.5 million. So this is roughly 20% of housing is priced between $1 and $1.5 million. So they're going to help that 20% gap. Total LTV ratio 80%, 5% on 500,000, 10% on the portion of the purchase price between 500 and 1.5 million. So it's still in a tiered format. Lender switches are allowed without the federal mortgage stress test for all insured and uninsured mortgages. This may be extended to insurable mortgages as well. And lastly, insured refinancing allowed to build up to 3 independent add-on units to already owner-occupied homes for long-term rental. So maximum 90% LTV, 30-year amortization, up to $2 million in total property value. So these are all things that are happening for sure. Right, so these are done in December. So the speculation is that some of our buyers are waiting till December when these all come into play. You want me to keep going?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
All the stuff I have here is all broker stuff. It's all
Yeah, no, because we've been talking,
So it's all
none of this
negative
stuff is
stuff.
really new, right? So this is a little bit of a summary also of what's been happening in the past couple weeks. I like summarizing because we've been talking about it, so it's not new, but it's just good to kind of remind. So the rate cut, like we just talked about, Bank of Canada cut its policy rate by 50 basis points to 3.75. This is the 4th consecutive rate reduction since June. Inflation is down currently to 1.6, which is meeting the central bank's target of 2%. Experts expect an early 2025 spring market surge to increase buyer activity and borrowing costs dropping. We'll see what happens. We should replay these meetings next year in spring to see what happens.
Yeah.
Fixed mortgage rates are expected to remain around 3.5 to 4% despite the cuts due to bond market conditions. Variable market holders, for every 25 basis point cut, variable mortgage rate holders could save $15 per $100,000 in mortgage debt. And the GDP impact, Bank of Canada is forecasting real GDP to rise by 2.1 in 2025, with housing contributing 0.5 percentage points, close to the demand seen in 2021. So I was reading a little bit about GDP today. Like today it's about 0%, and they're trying to get that up to 20. But actually pre-COVID was always 0% too. So it was only our COVID boom that housing contributed to a good significant percentage of GDP. So they're trying to make it a goal again, but it was never like that pre-COVID as well. So, they've got their eyes really zoned in on housing. We know the government makes a lot of money when Canadians buy a lot of houses. So. In terms of pre-construction, you all know it's 80% down. This is not the same thing we've been talking about all year. So yes, good opportunity to invest into pre-construction if you want to. But there are 33 new condo projects as of last week that have either been converted to rental, put on complete hold, canceled, or placed under receivership since 2022. So these changes are going to affect about 7,000 condo units that would have been added to the market. Not that we're facing any kind of supply shortage by any means, but it is going to impact a little bit. The main impact of all of this is going to happen in 2027, 2028, when we're at a real shortage, when there is nothing being started and there is nothing to be built. So that's going to be a concern then. Yeah, and most of this, Claire, I'll need your help maybe on this, and maybe Nelson too. This is sort of interesting. This was about radon gas exposure. It's more than doubled in Canadian homes over years. So 17.8% of Canadian homes contain dangerous levels of radon gas, which it used to be 7% in 2012. So they're saying it's doubled because of the energy efficient homes we're building and how gas is now more contained in the house. Are we concerned about this? Like,
Port Hope is where
it's in the
you
windows,
see that.
but this is not even
is
region
all-
specific. This is all houses, and they're blaming construction companies for having lower building standards. They're blaming like permitting processes. But I couldn't believe that almost 20% of houses have a dangerous level of radon. Is this concerning? I don't know. Like, it's 1 out of 3 in the Pacific Yukon area. 1 out of 3 houses has a dangerous level. Pacific coastal is 1 out of 75, but central, like where we are, is 1 out of 6. Has
That's
a
a
high.
lot.
That's Quebec. There's nothing in Ontario.
No, isn't
No,
this?
it's Ontario.
Central. I think it's all of.
Yeah. Yeah, it includes Quebec. But
I wouldn't worry about it.
you wouldn't worry about it? Okay. I read that, I'm like, millennial me is like, whoa, that seems
Just in
concerning.
Port Hope. But Port Hope, there's a certificate
Just don't
for it.
breathe. You okay?
Don't
Yeah.
breathe.
Wear a mask in your house.
We're not all robots like you, Claire. I don't know. Some of us do have like health concerns, and we don't operate on a mechanic basis.
I mean, if you live in Elliott Lake, then you might be concerned, or Sudbury,
Okay.
but not down here.
Okay. Good.
Elliott Lake used to be a uranium mine, just so you know.
Okay. Fair enough. You go for it. I don't have that one. So.
Okay,
Oh,
I've
that is
got-
a good one. I should have printed that.
All I have is negative stuff. So. Okay, I'll just get rid of the negative stuff, and that's the end of it.
Okay. Sure.
Toronto just unveiled a new proposed bylaw to curb convictions, renovictions.
Renovictions.
What's a renoviction? Anybody can tell me what a renoviction is?
We talked a little bit about that last
When
week.
you need to renovate and
Renoviction.
evict.
Renoviction.
You ask a tenant to get out, yeah, renovation, renovate it.
So you're asking a tenant to leave because you want to renovate the place, and then after you renovate the place, what are you going to do with it?
You have to ask them to back.
More money.
If you're gonna rent it, you have to give it to them back, and then you have to apply for the landlord tenant board for an increase in rent he was paying. So you have to verify that he did, right? What if you want to sell it? Can you? This is I don't know the answer for that. I was trying to figure out last night. Didn't have time.
You have a problem if you do a renovation and then sell it instead, for sure.
No, but can you give tenant notice? Hey, you're in my house. It's a piece of, I want, it's a Scarborough house, hasn't been updated forever. I want to kick you out, I want to renovate it, and then I want to sell it. Can you do that?
No.
You can't
Not
do that.
easily.
Do you have to pay for the tenant to temporarily go somewhere
That's
while
what
you're
the
renovating?
new rules are going to have
Okay.
you do that. Yeah.
So it's really
So that they can come back.
tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's almost, you have to cash for keys. You got to pay it. So if you want to renovate your own place there and bring it up to speed and sell it, it's worth $800,000 now. You put $100,000 in it, you might get $1 million for it. You can't do it if it's a tenant.
So many tenants just keep an eye on the property when they leave.
Yeah.
And if they see they do that,
They flag
they
it.
can just
Yeah.
sue the.
Yeah.
Odd, eh? So the city wants to come in with other rules. They want to make sure that if you're going to do renovictions, you have to have the only way you can give the renovation in the first place is if you have to have a building permit.
Permit.
If you don't have a building permit, you can't give renovations. You have to have the building permit in place and all the approvals done and drawings ready to go before you give approval. So when you give renovations, you got to start working right away. You can't just kick them out and wait 6 months.
You also now have to get a license under the new rules, $700 license.
You have to pay money up front. So if you screw up, you got to pay up front. So these are all proposals, but that's things that they want to do. So if you got a seller that isn't a good landlord, then again you might talk to those guys and think about maybe selling the place before the city of Toronto comes in there and changes things, right?
You may want to also sell before the other Airbnb short-term rental tax rules. So Canadians love to tax their investors. What a great place to invest in right now. If you own an Airbnb or a short-term rental, you will now pay 13% tax when you sell that property. And how they determine if it's a long-term, short-term, it's based on a sort of like a 90% rule. It has to be consistently long-term. So there's an example of somebody who had rented out their place to a long-term tenant for years and years and years, changed his mind in 2017. He decided to go Airbnb route, and he had a bunch of Airbnb short-term tenants all the time for about 3 years. 14 months he had that for. Sold his property, did not pay HST. National Revenue Minister assessed the property. I don't know how they found out. They determined that that should have been a commercial use because for 14 months he'd be Airbnb'd it, and he got charged 13% tax after the closing of the sale. So this is now going to happen to anybody who is doing Airbnb short-term rentals. There's no clear rule for how long it has to be rented, but it's just saying on a consistent basis, and I think it's based on 90% of it is short-term versus the other 10 maybe is not. Will be subject, though, to a 13% tax when you sell that property. I'm really glad we sold our Fort York.
They pay the income tax on that income, and then when they're selling it, they have to just pay.
So straight up 13% on the price of the sold property.
Yeah, in this particular case, it was a numbered company that owned the property. It wasn't an individual owned the condominium. It was a numbered company. So there wouldn't be any capital gains exemption. So it's going to be straight when they sold the place. Any profit they got would be straight income because it's a numbered company. It's not going to be personal, and plus they've got to pay this 13%, which is like somewhere $70,000 they have to pay.
Yeah, imagine the property is like $800,000.
So if you've got clients, and the reason why we're talking about this is all learning opportunities for you. We're not saying things to be negative. We want to make sure if you got a client that's selling something that was Airbnb, you got to think twice about the tax implications.
Yeah, you got to plan for it. Like
just be careful for that stuff, right?
So this is in Ontario? Or
It's Ontario.
Canada.
Yeah.
Yep.
CRA be Canada, so yeah.
So if I've lived in this house for 5 years and I Airbnb for the last 6 years.
Correct. This guy here was renting it. This guy rented this place here for 14 years, long term, and then for 14 months, I think it was, he did Airbnb. And Airbnb, he was paying HST on the rental income. So they said, okay, you're paying the rental income. So they said at the time you sold it, not how long you've owned it, time you sold it was Airbnb, HST.
What if it in Toronto, because it's your primary residence, you can only Airbnb if it's your primary residence? Does that screw with the rule too?
That's right. There's this is written by Bob Aaron. Bob Aaron's a bit of a sky's falling type lawyer.
Yeah.
So
No, it's not. It's a different guy, actually.
I think it was Bob Aaron did it. Anyway, so it's interesting to see. So be careful out there with the Airbnb stuff. That's
Especially
all.
those condos that they're selling now because they can't afford the mortgage. But those condos, like they're
But
Airbnb
they're
condos,
considered
right?
their primary residences, so I wonder.
Yeah, I think the rule is more about
It's
how
very
long
interesting.
it's been rented on a platform such as Airbnb, VRBO, and they just automatically consider that to be commercial versus a long-term tenant for some reason is not.
Well, I guess they're trying to not do Airbnbs then.
Like I said, it's been the theme for the past couple of weeks. They love taxes. Did you guys vote last week for Realtor.ca becoming public or staying not-for-profit? The vote was last week. It was very hard to
I
find.
don't think they had to vote. I think it was voted by
It
the.
was probably already
It was,
voted.
you already had the directors. Whoever you voted for Korea, they voted on your behalf. So.
You are correct. So yeah, so it did pass. It was voted in favor that Realtor.ca will be a for-profit type revenue stream system, which means that as realtors, you're a member of CREA, so inherently you also own now a little bit of Realtor.ca. Nothing's going to change in the short term, but in the long term, they hope to, I guess, like renovate Realtor.ca and make it up to standard. It's a little bit dated as well, and they're looking into other revenue streams as well. Most likely, you're going to be looking at paying leads for your own listings as well. So be prepared for that. That's happening right now in the U.S. too.
Hopefully they don't do that.
I think that's what I don't know what else would they do, but. That's all speculative.
I think what they can do, they can show sold data on
Maybe.
Realtor.ca if they register under your account.
Yeah, that could be because right now.
So
you can't do
that's
that.
going to, we don't need House Sigma or Zolo or all these clowns out there. Realtor.ca is 100 times bigger than these things. So if they start showing sold data, that's going to be to our advantage.
Yeah.
But they need the money to
Save
be
the
able to
data.
get the technology, and that's why they did this.
True. I just thought this was kind of interesting. This was a survey that scrubbed a bunch of data and came up with a visual for how many years it takes to save for a condo in various countries. And they took a look at the average years of work, so I think they're assuming 40 hours of work a week, and how much it would cost to buy a 600 square foot condo. Can you guess what the most expensive city was and how many years it took to be able to buy a condo for the first time? It's not Toronto, but it's Hong Kong. 22 years it takes people on average to save and buy a 650 square foot condo. Tokyo was right behind that at 14 years. Third most expensive was Paris. So 13 years it took Paris. And then Toronto's not on here, but it's going to be similar to Vancouver with about 8 years, so about half of what it takes in Hong Kong, about 8 years to save up, 8 years of work to buy a condo, which was right in line with Munich and New York. LA was about 7 years, but nobody was below 7 years of working to be able to buy their condo.
Those kids better get to work.
And I don't know if they're working 40 hours a week anymore either. So. Didn't talk about incomes, just talked about how many, it actually scrubbed, like it used the average income for that particular country, it used data points for that, but it was more about the number of years it took to work. Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll switch into more broker type stuff. I might have other stuff as I come, but
the unsubscribes.
this is a good one. It's been happening a lot. So on Realm, you may notice in the top left-hand side, if you have a client that unsubscribed, you'll get a notification at the top saying, client so-and-so, their email has unsubscribed. That will mean that they've unsubscribed not just to yours necessarily, but somebody in the realtor community. So maybe at some point they got on a realtor's mailing list as a prospect search and they unsubscribed. They are now unsubscribed to all of Realm. So they won't get your notifications either or anyone else's. So there is some fixes to that. There's an email address. We'll probably blast it out to you guys. It's resubscribe at realm mlp.ca will send this out, but your clients have to email the email address and say, I'd like to be resubscribed to so-and-so. You have to give them the agent's name that they want to be subscribed to, and then the Realm people can resubscribe them. They can also call in and ask to be resubscribed, but it's been happening. I have some of my clients who must have got on a mailing list.
A lot of clients are confused because they didn't unsubscribe to yours, but like Carly said, they might have had an agent last year or 2 years ago, and they just decided not to work with them anymore, and they unsubscribed to that agent, but it will unsubscribe to yours. So that's how you describe it to them.
Now, just on Realm, just to remind me, on Realm, how do you know that somebody else unsubscribed?
There's a big red, it's very obvious.
Right,
you'll
when
look
you
at the
sign in
top
the
left
left-hand
corner, and it will say, this email bounced due to
So-
this person unsubscribing. So it will tell you.
But it's if I remember right, it's kind of in, it's not
in your face.
Top left, right?
top left, but it's not, but it's just kind of right there.
It's hard to miss it.
I don't know, it looks pretty obvious to me because it looks like an error. Like it's all italicized and bold, and it's like where your eyes go right to the left. No? Maybe not.
It's kind of the beauty of
And is it on the
Realm.
dashboard or is it on the search screen?
On the
search.
Well, it depends on how you have your default set up. Mine's set
It's on
to
the
default
search
dashboard.
screen. Like it's as soon as you open Realm, it's right there.
Well, no, the reason why I say that is because some people have their Realm, their home page is the search
Yeah, so it
page, and
depends
some
what your
people have the
default page.
dashboard. It depends what the default
It's
is.
a dashboard, yeah.
So I don't know if it shows up on the dashboard or shows up on the search page.
On mine, it's on the dashboard.
Dashboard.
Mine's
Okay, so if you
defaulted to
set it up to go directly to your search page, you might miss that. So make sure you go to dashboard once in a while. See if you got any red arrows in there that say that these people unsubscribed.
And don't be offended necessarily. Like your client might have gone to an open house and the agent put them on a list without even asking them. It doesn't mean that they're out poking around. It could mean that also, but it could just be a technical thing as well.
Yep. It's also good because it lets you know when your searches are expiring. So don't ignore those messages.
True. This is a random story that I came across. I don't know. I just feel so bad for people like this. There's so many scams and stuff going on, but this is a story about a Scarborough family. She owned a place in Scarborough. She's excited to buy a bigger house for her family, dogs, blah, blah, blah. She found a house in Peterborough. So a friend told her she knew someone who could help. He did not show up to the showing, but she somehow got to see this property. I'm not sure if it was a listing agent or another agent. But this person who claimed to help her said he could help her arrange a sale and arrange financing for her. So she gave a deposit of $38,000 and thought that she would get possession of the house in May. I don't know if she's had signed documents or how these conversations went, but she gave some guy $38,000. May comes around, he says, the funds are not ready, lender's backing out. And she saw the house on the market. She says, why is the house on the market? My deal's not even done. The house stayed on the market. Turns out this guy was not a realtor, not involved in real estate at all or mortgages. He's just a guy. Now has her deposit of $38,000. So I guess the advice is that they're warning people to make sure your realtor is an actual licensed realtor by checking RICO. Don't give over money to somebody you don't know who is licensed. Check the brokerage even if you wanted to as well. Apparently CTV actually got a hold of this guy. He said, I never acted to be a real estate agent. I told her exactly who I was. I was just helping facilitate the finances of the sale, but she's now out $38,000 as well. I just think that's so crazy that somebody would give a deposit without receipts. I don't know what kind of paperwork is out there, but the lesson for you guys is obviously you're all registered real estate agents, so make sure you're servicing clients properly and watch out for people who are being scammed like that. It's really unfortunate.
I'll just piggyback on that for a second there, back more negative stuff.
That's pretty negative, yeah.
Some agent was busy. She claimed back, she said it was COVID, but it wasn't COVID. It's a lesson for you guys. She was busy, she had a husband, and she had the house, and I guess had to do a second inspection on her property, something like that. So she was busy, so she had her unlicensed husband do it. He showed the property to the buyers for the second showing. The seller has security cameras.
Of course they do.
And they're saying, well, I sold, it was a female agent, not a male agent. Where's the female agent? So somebody complained. Sorry, the owners did that. And then the owner came by later on. He was actually in the neighborhood anyway, so he was checking his phone in the neighborhood. He drove by and he saw that this girl was not there. But this girl insisted that she was there, and they found out that she wasn't. Anyways, they fined her $14,000 for allowing an unlicensed person to trade in real estate.
Seems pretty light, doesn't it, though, compared to all the other fines we see? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, even though you think you're doing a favor, if you're not licensed, you got to be careful with that. So.
That's fair. Tales from the Street is from something that I've seen this past weekend and the past couple of weeks. You guys know one thing that makes me cry is not putting your open house on realtor.ca, but there's a new theme popping up, a new question I get every single week regarding power of sale. And for some reason, clients are hiring you to list their house, and sometimes it's under urgency, like I need to list my house right away, or somehow it's urgent. And they're not fully just telling the truth. They're not letting the agents know that they are about to go under power sale, they've received notices, they're in default 3 to 7 months I've seen. So really make sure when you're taking listings right now, ask them what their current mortgage is. You need to find that out. We put mortgage verification form in the package for a reason. It's meant to be a conversation starter, so it's not you just prying into their personal business. You need to know that you can cover your own commission, the cooperating person's commission, you can cover the actual mortgage remaining. You can also buy a parcel title report from MPAC. I forget how much it is, but it's not very expensive. If you feel like your clients are lying to you, you can actually buy a report and see how many mortgages have been registered against the property, so it's also a good way to check. But yeah, clients are not telling the truth, which is unfortunate, and they're calling you way too late. I had one that's 7 months they haven't been paying, and now we have 2 listings happening. We have 1 listing because it's under the owner. Title has not been switched over yet, but they did have enough power to take their own listing with the lender. So now we have 2 listings right now in MLS. One is the lender, one is us, because it's about to go power sale, but they have taken possession over the unit. Meaning they've changed the locks, they've been in touch with the tenant, and now we've got a week left to fight over who can actually sell this thing. But we didn't get contacted until literally 2 weeks ago, which is really unfortunate. So if you feel like your clients are lying, they might be, but try to get the information yourself on a part. You're trying to help them. I don't know if it's because they're embarrassed or their ego, or they feel like it's all going to work out and they don't believe the reality of what's about to come. But please use a mortgage verification form and dig into if they can even cover the mortgage. And we recommend you do 5 or 6% deposit to cover both sides' commissions, and you can even do it on seller lawyer approval as well to make sure that they can clear everything. We've said it before: don't ghost the lender. If you're in default, your clients are in default, talk to them, let them know you're working with a realtor, you're getting it up in the market. Because in my particular case, nobody had responded to the lender in 7 months, so they went to the court and they got a court order to take possession right away because they had been silent with no communication. So I'm seeing this happen a lot, which is unfortunate.
There will be only 1 listing at a time.
Right now, there's 2 listings, and they're saying that that's allowed because they have possession over the property, but the title hasn't changed yet. So there's actually 2 listing agreements signed right now. I'll talk to you later if that's allowed. They said it is. We have showings under our listing. They gave us the lockbox because they changed the locks. We needed to have access, which they gave us. So they're following those rules. But we've only got a week left anyway, so we'll see.
Shame in this place here is that one of the reasons why it's going under power sales because the tenant stopped paying rent, and the tenant wouldn't allow showings either. So it was complicated.
This one's really complicated. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. Also, we're getting a bunch of, we call them DIS notices. If you've never gotten one from TREB, they're from listings. They look scary. They have all this scary word, immediate action required, but they're just things that are in your listing that they've scrubbed that are a little bit inaccurate. So it's something that I've seen really common the past month. You can't put in any client-facing fields, so like the client remarks or extras, anything that the clients will see online. You can't say contact LA for a showing or for more information, or you can't solicit at all in client remarks. So anytime it says contact LA, no matter what it's for, I'm going to get a notice, and Nelson and I will remove that wording. You could, in a brokerage remark where it's just agent to agent, say contact the listing agent for more information or whatever, but you can't say contact because it's viewed as soliciting on MLS. And I get this notice a lot.
Yep. And when you get that, you just have to remove it.
We just remove it. We just remove the wording. I noticed that the timing has changed. We used to get about 5 days to make corrective action. Now it's about 2 days we have to make this action. So just something I've noticed common. And I'm not worried about them. GIS notices happen. We make mistakes. It's fine. But just showing you common themes.
Okay, fun things. When you guys Google yourself, right? Everybody's Googled yourself and you see what comes up. Has anybody done that?
Every once in a while, I'll do a little audit to see.
Realtor.ca. Have you ever gone to Realtor.ca and looked at your listings
Yes.
Or your profile, you mean?
or your profile? If you did it properly, you would have your photo would show up on Realtor.ca. I'm talking about, and this is something you have to do. Nobody does it for you. You have to send them your photo. Say, I want my photo on Realtor.ca.
You have to like email it to them, right?
You got to email it to them. Here's my photo. So, and then some people have been in business for 30 years, and they still have their high school picture there. only because they weren't aware that they had to update the Realtor.ca photos. All right. So, if you have you not done it, do it and make sure it's current. So.
I think the timing is relevant now that it's a for-profit type company. They're going to be looking at this, making it more splashy. You're probably going to be able to add more social media links right now. You can even add like a little video bio of yourself. You can add different links, but I would go in there, make sure it's all filled in as much as you can, all the language you speak as well, because this is what the public sees to decide if they want to hire you or not. And I think as Realtor.ca becomes more, like right now it's got 50% of the market share, maybe now with some revenue boosting behind it, it can get even more. So it's now even more relevant to make sure that it's up to date and looks good.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right, one last negative thing.
I saved a bunch of negative things. We'll save it for next week.
They're not really negative. I mean,
It's just facts.
hopefully there's learning lessons here that you guys won't be getting in trouble. That's the whole purpose of it. Don't look at it as negative, right? But I got a bit of a pushback last week and the week before about illegal basement apartments. All right. Well, my client wants to list an illegal basement apartment in MLS. Would you do it?
No.
No? Why not?
Right answer.
Anyways, in a recent discipline decision, the listing for a property stated the buyer could obtain rental income for a finished basement. So they got on there, finished basement, rental income, $1,000, right? Separate separate entrance, kitchen, appliances. However, the basement has not been approved by local municipality. It was not legal, could not be legally rented. The buyer agreed to buy the property, believing that the property, this is a buyer, not in this case, it wasn't rented, but the buyer bought it. Buyer rented out the basement according to the listing agent because he can get $1,000 a month rent. As soon as he listed it, the city knocked on his door and said, that's a legal basement, you've got to kick the tenant out and you're done. So he made a complaint to RICO, the buyer did, and the agent, not the client, the agent got fined $10,000.
He didn't put the retrofits in? We don't want retrofits.
Listing agent on the listing said $1,000 rent. So how can you say it's retrofit?
Rental income, and he gave an amount.
He gave an amount. So you can't say basement apartment. You can't use the word apartment if it's not legal. You can't use $1,000 rent if it's not legal. You can't. All you say is an in-law suite retrofit.
Not retrofit.
Not retrofit. Yeah. And even that clause, some people say it doesn't. So
Well,
so.
put that in there, I'm okay, I won't get fined.
I don't know. I think that's still a gray
No,
area too.
but if you're a listing agent and you've listed, this is my point. If you've listed an illegal basement
For a lease.
for lease, and the tenant moves in, and then somebody knocks on the door, you got to get out.
I would just stay away
So
from
what's the
illegal
best
basement.
option? To just tell the owner to put it up themselves?
And this goes back to the mom and Paul lenders I'm talking about. They don't understand, right? Everybody's trying to save money on renovations, but it's not legal. So be careful. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
I think
say.
if you're leasing, you avoid MLS. If you're selling it, you just make sure your language doesn't guarantee that it's a rental type property.
What if there's a tenant in the
But what if he
basement?
put the amount? I have one that I looked at yesterday, definitely a legal basement apartment, but he's put all the amounts in the actual.
Here, just send them this. Say here,
Yeah.
I can save you $10,000.
Send it to Trebet.
Give me a 6% commission.
I will say, like, on that note too, like when you have an MLS listing, this is not like Facebook Marketplace and you're like putting an ad up and putting whatever words you want. Like there's actual rules and legal contractual wording that comes out of an MLS listing. That's why you have an MLS data form and you have a client signing off to the data. It's not just like, I find agents are really casual these days and putting up like whatever they want, and the photos are getting worse. Like, reminder, you can't put words and banners in your photos, and your photos can't be things that are unrelated to it's not just a marketplace ad, you know, like you gotta really put attention, and your offers are based on that listing, and that's when you get into legal stuff based on your listing. So just be careful with all the details you're putting in your MLS listing.
Okay, good news.
Okay.
Graham know more about this than I would. When Equifax has now said that if you have somebody that does not have local credit, they've just immigrated to Canada, right? And it's kind of a funny thing that they're talking about here, but they're saying that Equifax now has a deal with these other foreign credit rating companies, and they'll actually, starting this Thursday, I think it starts, they'll be able to use U.S. credit reports, India credit reports.
Philippines,
The Philippines, they'll be able to convert it to Canadian beacon scores, or what are they called, fiscal scores.
Yeah, but they're
But they're also, what I read here, they weren't talking about house purchases. They're talking about simple things like getting a mobile phone.
yeah.
Simple things like getting a car loan or getting or a rental. It doesn't talk about mortgages. So
you're new to Canada and you've got to get these things set up. But without any credit, you can't even get a basic cell phone, right? So this will help people be able to get cell phones. But they're also warning that it's really hard to neutralize the credit data from different countries. Every country has their own way to qualify what that score looks like. Like India is 300 to 400 based on different requirements. So yes, they've scrubbed it and tried to equalize it, but they're still also saying things like income, having a good job and having income in terms of rental purposes is what people are looking for versus a good credit score. So. But that'll help.
See, is that true? Because I hear Mom and Pa, I'm looking at Nelson again here, the clients want to know what the beacon score is. or the fiscal score. That's that they don't. That seems to be the number that they're looking for.
It's true, but this guy is saying sometimes like you have one little blip on a credit, like you missed a weird payment, and it stays there forever, and you can't get rid of it. And so people often have a story that goes along with what it is, and it's unfortunate because now you're getting the score on your thing, and you can't fix mistakes. So you can't just look at the score by itself. You've got to look at the overall profile. Yeah. Just a quick little note: you might have gotten an email on October 22nd about the ORWP, this is your benefit plan, the annual enrollment period. If you're not changing anything in your benefits, you don't need to do anything. This is just the one time of the year, every year at the beginning of the year, where you can make changes. So you could add children, you could add dependents. There's only 2 options for your benefit plan. Like if you have benefits somewhere else, there's another category you can go into, but you can only make changes this once a year in this month. So it's gonna start in November, and you have that 1 month to make changes. If you don't making any changes, you don't need to do anything. It's just gonna keep with the current plan. And if you haven't used your benefits, you have about 1 month to break even on your $750 that you spent. So if you didn't go get massages or acupuncture, you've got 1 month to go break even on what you already spent on your benefits. I broke even in my March, so so go get massages and use them.
I had an agent ask me on Friday, how do you access the ORWP website? How do you do it? Just go to RIA?
Well, it depends what you want to claim. If you're claiming a massage, prescription, like medical type stuff, it's actually Green Shield. You want to go to greenshield.com. ORWP, that website itself is only going to talk about like the plan and maybe the booklet and codes, but there's other providers providing each benefit. So there's 5 different websites depending on what you need.
So if an agent's not sure what to do they go to the ORWP website first?
Yes, I would just search your email, so ORWP, and you'll see emails in there.
I talked to them, ORWP, and they said you can go 1 stage up, which is enhanced plan, right? Because of the dental, I talked to them and they said, yeah, but it's only $750 for a year, and still you have to pay 50%.
Yeah, that's true.
This is actually is nothing.
Yeah, that's true. So he's just saying there's an option where you can do it enhanced, and it adds a dental component. It still only covers 50%, and it's still $750 as well.
Yeah, but if you want to go to elite plan, you cannot go. You have to go one at a time.
You have to move up.
So what was the dental plan? It was $750 per year on top of what you're already paying?
Yeah.
And in addition.
The monthly is, I'll tell you, monthly is $155.
Okay, so
So $155, husband and wife, 50% coverage, and then maximum $750. Maximum $750 is the maximum.
Yeah, dental, honestly, all health plans never have good dental plans unless you're really with a big corporate plan. Dental's always one of those things that is never really part of the main plan.
It's almost like a group lotto ticket. You get 20 people getting together, and everybody puts $2 a week there and buys a lotto ticket. Buy it from me, trust me. Everybody give me $10 a week, and every 4th week I'll give you $10 back.
But still, you can still break even on it. You don't need to lose money. You might as well go get what you can.
You win. Brand, you got something to say? What's going on in the market?
Rates are coming down.
Rates are coming down. Okay, so let's go again. So we're both right going half a point down, which we said was $30 per 100,000. December, I'm hearing quarter point, but I'm also hearing a half again.
I don't know what Sherry said. I wasn't a part of it.
Do you remember what Sherry said about future rates?
She just said that it was going to go down to 2.5 by next spring, but
Little by little.
She said little by little. Their goal is to get it to 2.5 by next year. It won't go down to pandemic levels of the 1.75, but they're predicting it's going to keep going to about that level. That's what she said. She's like, some could just be like a little baby ones, but whatever it is, it's going to be.
But what you want to tell your clients, so both sellers and buyers, that you don't want to wait for if you're waiting for the rates to come down to make a decision, so is everybody else.
Yep.
So you just like all the other people, you're all at once going to come all at once and pay, levy. So if you want to be against the crowd, do it now. Variable rate mortgage, and then you can renegotiate your mortgage when it comes due, or you can set it down later on. That's the proper way to do it. Mr. Seller, same thing. If you're buying and selling in the same market, it makes no difference, but you'll be able to buy something up. You'll be able to upsize a little bit cheaper than you will be later on.
Yep.
So that's why you want to do things sooner than later, in my opinion.
True. Okay. And then this week is week 4, Systems for Success?
We are on week 4 of Systems for Success this week. I'm actually impressed. We've had about 80 to 90 people consistently every week.
And I actually check. I scroll through every week and I see who comes and who wasn't there last week and who came this time. I'm like,
I do track attendance. So people have been asking me for the workbooks from the previous weeks, and if you didn't attend, you're not getting them. I am being very mean.
Just to recap what happened last week, we're doing the buyer's presentation.
Yeah, so like
and people mentioned to you they had no idea.
Which ones? For the buyer? Yeah, last week we talked
no
all
idea
about...
that the buyers is more sophisticated than they thought.
Yeah, so I went through step by step of the entire buyer system. So what happens when someone calls you and says, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. And I talked about how it's not as simple as just, okay, let's book some showings. We talked about getting them on a consultation for 20 minutes, going through the pre-approval, setting them up on automated searches, what happens when you actually open the door, and what you should be doing at the showings. So I went very detailed, and I had a lot of experienced agents reach out being like, I'm not even doing half that stuff, even just asking for a simple testimonial when the deal firms up, emailing the mortgage broker when you go conditional on finance, emailing the mortgage broker right away the agreement of purchase and sale and the MLS listing and taking that over for your client. So I talked about the real nitty-gritty details of what it actually means to be representing a buyer. So if you didn't attend that session, it was a really good one. I had a lot of agents come up to me afterwards and said it was a really good one. It was a little bit longer than the other sessions. So I'm going to be doing the exact same thing kind of this week. Is for week 4, it's on the seller's side. So we're going to be talking about what to do when you get called to go do a home evaluation. So it's going to just talk about the listing presentation. So getting on a consultation again before you book an in-person meeting and gathering all that data on the home and all the stuff before you see the house so you're prepared. How to prepare an actual listing presentation, going over the market stats, a CMA, what you're going to do when you walk into the home. So you're going to sit at the kitchen table and you're going to ask them these questions. So I'm going to get very detailed on what that actually looks like, all the way to signing the contract. So that's going to be week 4. And then week 5 next week, we're going to talk about, okay, now you got hired, you signed the contract, you got hired to list the home. Now what are the next steps? So we'll talk all about all the paperwork, all the coming soon signs, the staging consultations, all that stuff. So if you haven't been tuning in, it's a very, very step-by-step. I even gave you, last week they got a 54-page workbook on the buyer system. I didn't even make you guys create your own systems. I gave you guys 54 pages. It's basically a novel of what it looks like to work with buyers, including checklists and everything. So this week it's going to be the same thing. So you will only get that stuff if you come to the session. If you do not, it will be available for sale in November. So if you want it for free, I suggest you come every Wednesday. So it's going to be at 10:30. I'm going to give it another hour and a half again, just in case. So book off maybe from 10:30 to 12 again. I should be done before that, but just in case, just book that off. So that should be this week. So we're only halfway there. So we got 3 more weeks to go.
So if you missed the first 3, can you go into this one?
Yes. So you can still come. So even if you didn't come to the last sessions, you just won't get access to the content from the last few. But you will be able to keep up. It's a different topic each week. So yeah, if you haven't been attending, it's 10:30. I send out the link on Broker Bay. So if you're not getting emails from me, that might mean that you unsubscribed from my emails. So sorry. But I also put it in WhatsApp and on Facebook. So it's just a Zoom link, same Zoom link every week. So I'll see you guys Wednesday.
Cool. And save the date, December 17th, for our holiday party. We'll blast that out. Okay, anyone have any listings you want to talk about? Anything else?
Foreign buyers still they are blocked.
Yeah.
27.
Yeah.
Still banned.
Yeah, there's still a foreign
Yeah,
ban.
it's funny you say that because Equifax, I was thinking about that. Equifax allows foreign credit, but you still can't buy anyway.
Can't
So it
buy.
doesn't
Just
matter.
rent.
Just for their rent. It's true. Well, they can, just not in urban areas, right? You can buy
And pay a lot of
outside
taxes.
metropolitan areas. So yes.
Yeah, you can buy commercial and you can buy outside.
Yeah. So just not downtown Toronto, Durham. Yeah.
And you got to pay a lot of taxes.
No, not if you buy outside those areas. Sorry? Yes, it'll be a nighttime evening event. Yes. Yeah, get it in the calendar. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so we will see you next week. There's no holidays or anything. We're all normal. Have a happy Halloween this Thursday. And we'll see you next week. Take care.